Back to the book. In contrast to First Company, the men of Second Company received no instruction on how to carry out the shooting. Initially, bayonets were not fixed as an aiming guide, and as Hergert noted, there was a considerable number of missed shots that led to the unnecessary wounding of the victims. One of the policemen in Hergert's unit likewise noted the difficulty the men had in aiming properly. At first, we shot freehand. When one aimed too high, the entire skull exploded. As a consequence, brains and bones flew everywhere. Thus, we were instructed to place the bayonet point on the neck. According to Hergert, however, using fixed bayonets as an aiming guide was no solution. Though the point-blank shot that was thus required, the bullet struck the head of the victim at such a trajectory that often the entire skull, or at least the entire rear skull cap, was torn off, and blood, bone splinters, and brains sprayed everywhere and besmirched the shooters. Hergert was so emphatic that no one in First Platoon was given the option of withdrawing beforehand. But once the executions began and men approached either him or Scheer because they could not shoot women and children, they were given other duties. This was confirmed by one of his men. During the execution, word spread that anyone who could not take it any longer could report. He then went on to note, "I myself took part in some 10 shootings in which I had to shoot men and women. I simply could not shoot at people anymore, which became apparent to my sergeant, Hergert, because at the end I repeatedly shot past. For this reason, he relieved me. Other comrades were also relieved sooner or later because they simply could no longer continue." So obviously there's mixed emotions about this whole thing, from the top of the chain of command right down to the frontline shooters that are only able to do this so many times. Some of them opt out of it initially, but let's remember that it's still taking place and no one's stopping it. Some people are excusing themselves from it, but there's no one saying, "Hey, what the hell are we doing right now?" Back to the book. Some of the men who hurried at their task shot far more Jews than others who delayed as much as they could. After 2 rounds, one policeman simply slipped off and stayed among the trucks at the edge of the forest. Another managed to avoid taking his turn with the shooters altogether. And here's a quote from him. "It was in no way the case that those who did not want to or could not carry out the shooting of human beings with their own hands could not keep themselves out of the task. No strict control was being carried out here. I therefore remained by the arriving trucks and kept myself busy at the arrival point. In any case, I gave my activity such an appearance. It could not be avoided that one or another of my comrades noticed that I was not going to the executions to fire away at the victims. They showered me with remarks such as shithead and weakling to express their disgust. But I suffered no consequences for my actions." I must mention here that I was not the only one who kept himself out of participating in the executions. So, guys, like I said, have figured out that they can not participate if they don't want to. And they're getting called cowards and weaklings by the guys that are actually cowards and weaklings that are going out and executing people.